What's going on, Jeromes? So we've been so just like laser focused on the Vikings draft and UDFAs that we haven't really taken the time to look around the league and assess the draft classes for some of the other teams. Now, we could do this for every single team. We tried to whittle it down because otherwise this would be like a 2-hour video, but we picked 12 of the best and interesting, and then also the worst. So consensus, everyone loves the Steelers, and I do too. I mean, this con did it again. Why couldn't the Timberwolves con have been as good as the Steelers con? But so Fatanu at 20. So basically the Steelers have been looking for offensive line help for years, right? So we got Fatanu, Zach Frazier in the second. My dog. I absolutely love and adore Zach Frazier. Plus, he's got that. He does have a Pittsburgh mentality. Now he's on the other side of the backyard brawl with West Virginia and Pitt, but man, that's fantastic. Also in 4th round, getting Mason McCormick. So you got 3 dudes who could be starting along your offensive line within 2 years. Right, and that's I think Fatanu and Frazier, you pencil in the stars day one. I think McCormick eventually gets in there. It's fantastic. Roman Wilson, tough nose, physical receiver. Where don't want to say like he's Hines Ward, because Hines Ward is a deity in the catch-up city. So, but I do love me some Roman Wilson. Peyton Wilson is a great meat and potatoes off-ball linebacker as well. Logan Lee, going to get things done. Ryan Watts, long lengthy corner on the outside, coming out of Texas. This was one hell of a class. God dang. Now if Justin Fields can't get it done with this, he's not going to get it done. That's about it, man. The Bengals. So the Bengals actually did jump in Joe Burrow some favors. So number one, going offensive line. Mims is ginormous. Now I know they have Trent Brown or Orlando Brown, but Mims is the guy. Mims is the guy. Plus, I love that they doubled down on defensive line. Because they lost DJ Reader and company, but Chris Jenkins from Michigan, McKinley Jackson, who's one of my favorite nose tackles in this class from A&M. That's a fantastic duo there. Burton. So, I mean, a lot has been made about Burton's red flags, but if he can get his ish together, he could be very much an asset there in Cincinnati. Also, Eric Gall, once he comes back from his ACL, I mean, physical freak tight end. So there you go. Newton at leg, Cedric Johnson is awesome. Matt Lee is one of my favorite late-round centers. And so I like Juergens. I love Matt Lee. I think that Matt Lee is eventually going to be the starting center for your Bengals in a couple of seasons. The commies. So, stick and pick and take Jaden Daniels at 2 makes sense. Box office, but new GM Adam Peters and head coach Dan Quinn. I mean, I like what they did. So they got Johnny Newton as he was taking a tumble in the draft. I think that he's going to be well, this is a clear-cut shot of BPA where you got Allen and you got Payne, but you're just adding Johnny Newton to that mix. It's fantastic. Mike Saintstil might be pound for pound the toughest player in the draft. He's going to be fantastic. Ben Sinnott is going to be great. Coleman, uber athletic offensive lineman, could kick inside as well. McCaffrey at the back end of the 3rd round. Now, McCaffrey, people say, oh, he only got picked because of his last name and who his brother is. I mean, McCaffrey's a solid dude on his own. Is 3rd round a little bit high? Maybe. McGee out of Temple is a heat-seeking missile tackling machine. Also, JJB, Javonte Jean-Baptiste from Notre Dame, I think is a great edge rushing project in the 7th round. So I really like what they did, man. Cardinals was fantastic. So Monty Ossenfort had 4 3rd-round picks. Also had that extra first from the Texans because of the Will Anderson trade. Now, kept his powder dry, didn't trade down from 4, but Harrison Jr., I mean, it's a very good wide receiver class, and he got the best receiver in the class. All right, so hopefully Kyler's going to be able to do a little something. Darius Robinson, I mean, Gannon's going to love Darius Robinson. Could he become Darnell Dockett 2.0? Max Melton is an absolutely feisty cornerback in the 2nd round. I love it. Trey Benson's going to eventually become their RB1. Isaiah Adams is fantastic along the offensive line. Christian Jones in the 5th, I think, is huge value. Tep Ryman, he doesn't believe in birds, but he joins the birds, which is kind of funny, man. Elijah Jones is super getting after it in terms of cornerback. TDD from Texas Tech, the Vikings did some work on him. He's going to set an attitude on the back end of that defense. Overall, I mean, it's a hell of a class, man. The Giants needed to squarely hit this one. Now, they didn't take the quarterback. They could have taken Penix or McCarthy at 6. They could have traded up potentially from 6 to 3, but reportedly that was for Joe Alt. I don't know if I believe that. But at 6, BPA, Malik Neighbors is that guy. And Daniel Jones or Drew Lock, like, he hasn't really had a wide receiver one, and Neighbors is it. Tyler Newman on the back end of the defense, so they needed some help back there with Xavier McKinney leaving. I think that's a great pickup. Andrew Phillips, again, sort of like Satchel, is undersized but super feisty cornerback. I absolutely loved him from Kentucky. Theo Johnson, physical freak tight end from Penn State, hedging their bets at what's going to happen with Darren Waller. Tyrone Tracy is one of my favorites. Tyrone Tracy, my favorite draft comp, that he runs like Jack Sparrow, where converted receiver from Iowa, and he's just a very unique running back. But good things seem to happen when he's got the rock. Raiders. So the Raiders draft is a great example of BPA. So they didn't panic, trade up. They didn't just take whatever. But Brock Bowers there at 13 is like, oh, we will take Brock Bowers. Even though we have Michael Mayer, we will take Brock Bowers, and he will fit into this offense. And also JPJ at 44. That's fantastic. And I actually do think that, I don't know, maybe Aiden O'Connell could be a little something, but more importantly, Gardner Minshew getting some things done. Demarcon Richardson is fantastic on Mississippi State. Eichenberg is great too. Dylan Loeb is one of my favorites in the 6th round as well. Trey Taylor, in terms of just pure football player, like, he gets it. The pride of Air Force. I mean, he also seems like a Raider. It's a great fit there. Chargers. So, I mean, the Chargers, speculation that they would trade out or draft a bajillion Michigan men, but they only drafted 2. Junior Colson in the 3rd round is fantastic. Although Corum was just there chilling, but he went to the Rams. Cornelius Johnson in the 7th round, sure. But Joe Alt, the private Totino Grace, Minnesota kid, like, he's going to feed families. And he's going to make life so much easier for Herbert, whether that's left tackle, right tackle, TBD. McConkey is going to step in as wide receiver 1 right away. I know Quentin Johnston. I know Josh Palmer, but Alabama linemen are always good. Tariq Still, Cam Hart having some length on the outside at corner. Kamani Vidal. So I have the sneaking suspicion that Kamani Vidal is eventually going to be RB1. Like, I know they got, the Gus Bus and JK and whatnot, but Vidal runs hard. Like, Vidal fits Greg Roman's offense perfectly. Yeah. Also, Brendan Rice, I think that's too much value in the 7th round, but I know that people thought it was like, whoa, Brendan Rice should go mid-rounds. I never saw it. And as someone who's a quasi-USC fan, like, I mean, if his name was Brendan Bartkowski, would he have the same hype? I don't know, man. I don't know. Lions. So Lions themselves, it's a good draft, but there's also some question marks. So Terry Arnold, 24, BPA, yes, and also position need. Rakestraw is fantastic in the 2nd round, and also this is the Jefferson and Addison effect. I mean, that's where the Lions are extremely deficient, and you look around, it's like, oh, all the receivers in this division, especially Jefferson and Addison. Then, all right, so they trade up future picks for Manu, who's from the University of British Columbia. Okay, like, after Dallas Turner gets him for a 3rd sack, oh my goodness, yeah. Wait, no, why is he German? How many kilometers per mile doesn't matter. Sione Vaki. So, hey, you got a running back and a safety, and you trade a future pick for it. Fantastic. Although that does seem like a Lions guy. Wingo's great. Mahogany, many Leatherbound books. I would have been fine if the Vikings would have taken Mahogany. But he does seem to fit the Lions ethos as well. Got Lions again for some reason. Broncos. So what's interesting about the Broncos is outside of the Bo Nix reach, I actually like the rest of their draft. So with Bo Nix, everyone's saying like, oh, the Vikings took Christian Ponder at 10. No, the Broncos literally took Christian Ponder at 12 in the Christian Ponder spot. But it's funny. Like, I've said my piece about Bo Nix. Maybe it'll work. Maybe it won't. Who knows? But the rest of the draft, I like a lot. So Jonah Ellis from Utah. So another one of Luther Ellis's kids. One of the other ones was in camp with the Vikings a couple years ago. But I mean, Jonah Ellis, in terms of like, he doesn't look the prettiest edge rusher, but he is extremely efficient, and he's just going to get after things. And also, Utah, Denver is already built in a fan base connection there. Troy Franklin out of Oregon. So reuniting Franklin with Nix is interesting. Where I mean, did Franklin fall because he was sick at the combine? Is that really it? And because he had the bad gauntlet, or is there more to it? I don't know. But either way, a guy who would have, I mean, he could have gone back into the first round. I don't think anyone would have been shocked, but he falls to the fourth. That's great. KAD, Chris Abrams-Drain, goes from Mizzou, goes to Denver. I think it's a great pickup as well. He'll do good things in the back end of the defense. And also they kept Surtain, which, generally you want to keep your all-pro players. It's crazy. Estime, I think, is fantastic. Now, yeah, Javonte Williams and one out, but Estime, I love Estime. He's really fantastic. Two more. So we got the Bears. So the Bears are interesting because they had 1 and 9, but they only had 4 total picks. But they drafted the largest quarterback bust in NFL history. Like, hey, screw you, Jamarcus. Hey, screw you, Ryan Leaf. Hey, screw you, Achilles Smith. Caleb Williams is going to be the biggest bust in NFL history. It happens. Rome Odunze. I like Rome Odunze. And then you get the tackle whose only qualification is, hey, I grew up a Bears fan. And they had so many good edge rushers in the Ivy League. They got the puncher Torrey Taylor, who's going to die of exhaustion from overwork and overuse this year. And then they traded a future pick for Austin Booker, a guy who's so good that he couldn't even stay on the Gophers. No, I'm just kidding. I actually like Austin Booker. But basically, take him back the North and never give it back. We'll see, please. Then lastly, of course, you got the Falcons. So, yeah, again, in a vacuum, taking Penix at 8 ain't so bad. Signing Kurt to a 4-year, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed, not so bad. Both at the same time is bad. It's a bad allocation of resources. And so the first 2 picks, you question a lot. So Rook Ororo going, probably a little bit earlier than a lot of people thought, but could he play a specific role under Hugh Morris's defense? Yes, but also, I mean, Johnny Newton was just there chilling, winking at you. Now, I like Trice. Third round might be a little bit rich. Brandon Dorlus is an absolute stud. So, I mean, the rest of the way this draft got a little bit better. But it just feels like they left a lot of meat on the bone. And I don't know. Like, this is one of the drafts where maybe it looks better a couple years removed in the cold light of day, and maybe it really is just draft nerds bashing it because of value according to our big board. But I mean, if you're going to draft a young quarterback, why didn't they draft McCarthy to sit behind Kurt for 2 years? I mean, by the time Penix gets out and starting, like, he's going to be 26, 27. So I don't know, man. But like I said, I love the Steelers draft. Like, if the Vikings would have found a way to come away with the Steelers draft, it would have been sexy. Of course, we wouldn't have had the quarterback of the future, but it is what it is. Anyways, that's it. Let's take a look at other teams' drafts around the league. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. You guys are the best. You know what to do. Skull production value.